All right. So can you guys hear me? You guys can type in the chat now because I have not allowed you to unmute. Yep. So welcome everyone. This is a very beginner friendly session for you all, where you guys will learn how to use Git, how to use GitHub, how you can add your code to an already added project in Diversion, as well as this will be a forum where you can ask any kind of questions that you are having in your mind about Diversion, about the entire event, what will be the process of the entire event, etc., etc. So today we have three speakers with us. All of them are your seniors or your own classmates. So let me introduce you to the first speaker. We have Arnab Mehti with us. He is the vice chair of ACMIM, as well as he's the event lead for Diversion as well. Next up, we have Shopno Neil, who is the chair for GDSC, as well as he's also one of the core members of Diversion. And next up, we have our radio friend Abhishek Banerjee. He is experienced in web development, front end, back end, and he is really experienced in Git and all these processes. So he will be also telling you a lot of new things about Git, GitHub, and open source. All right. So let's not waste any much more time. I'll like turn over to Arnab. Arnab, are you here?
Yeah, so am I
All right.
audible, guys? Just a heads up in the chat, please. Like, am I audible?
Acha, just before you begin, sorry to interrupt, Arnab.
Yep, absolutely.
Any questions you guys have? अभी you मैं unmute का permission नहीं दिया हूँ, but any questions you guys are having, you guys can write directly in the chat box. We'll try and answer each and every question. Okay, just make sure you don't spam in the chat box. Just make sure you write any kind of questions, even if it's a very silly one you think it is, but we will answer all of them. But just don't spam and mention your question clearly in the chat box. We'll answer all of those. All right.
Yep,
Okay. So over to you,
absolutely.
Arnab.
Yep. So, hi guys, my name is Arnav. So, I hope most of you know me. So, you guys know about, so today's session is all about the beginner session, right? So, it's basically completely for the beginners. So, just like Ritesh just mentioned about this thing, that if you have anything you want to ask, then you can ask us directly in the chat box, right? Because don't worry, right? Because everyone, whoever is there in this meeting, everyone is a beginner. Okay, so right now I'll be discussing about some things like about the roadmaps that is required for a first year student or a second year student. Like basically, in short, I want to say that roadmap for the beginners. Okay, so just give me 1 second. I will share my screen. So yep. So is my screen visible? Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, your screen is visible, Arnab. Go ahead.
Okay, all right, pretty good. So yeah, so see, I won't be sharing any kind of PPTs at all. It will be completely like I'll be writing in front of you. I'll be building in that way. Okay. So let's say if you are a first year student, if you are a first year, then what you should do. Okay. So I'll be going step by step. At first, I'll be touching the first year people. Then I will tell you what a second year student must do. Right. And like you can even consider, even if you are a third year student, you can consider that as a beginner, what you should do. So at the first year, like one thing is very important, that DSA. What is DSA? That is data structure algorithms, and it's the most important thing that you must start. Like you are a beginner, so always remember that DSA is the thing that you must have to do. And also you have to solving, so I can include solving questions in lead code or any other, like there are many coding platforms like Interview Bit, then Geeks for Geeks, and many other things. Like there are Code Chef, Code Forces, like CP and all. But like I personally, these are my preferences. These are not I am telling you from the general way, right? These are things that what I have done it, right? And like which I prefer. Basically, you can even have take like there are lots of videos out there in the net, right? So these are few things that I'm telling you. So first thing is what? DSA, very important. And also solving questions in lead code. Like let's say if you there are so many topics in DSA, right? Let's say arrays, linked list, then stacks and queues. So the moment you finish one topic, you should solve at least 10 to 20 questions of that particular topic. It can be either easy, medium, hard. Okay. Now, next thing that you must do as a first year, that you have to be like, in active involvement in tech, basically tech events. Okay. Basically, you can say that, you know, uh, basically what I mean by this is hackathons. Okay, hackathons. Right now we are having Diversion. Now, apart from Diversion, you can even now just a one question that you are a beginner, right? Let's say you're not even a beginner, you are learning some skill. Then how do you know whether you are good at it? How good you are good at? How much? How do you know that whether you're good at it, right? So that can be done by this. Okay, by attending hackathons, doing projects, right? So these are the things which will actually teach you, right, that how well you are in that particular skill. Now, after DSA and all, you must learning development. Basically development, that can be anything, like you can choose your like what can I say, like which domain you want to contribute, like which domain you want to learn. Like it can be app dev, web dev, it can be AIML, it can be IoT or hardware, or it can be even cyber security, blockchain and all. Yeah, it's completely up to you. You can like first year and a second year, for a first year and second year, like your that time is basically exploring period. Like this is the time where you actually explore. Now you guys might ask me that where should I learn from, web dev or app dev? So one thing that is very famous in YouTube right now, that is Free Code Camp. Okay, this one is a pretty good channel. You guys can, like, if you are going for React on, then yep, this is a very great platform where you can learn. It's a pretty nice, they have a pretty amazing content. Okay, now which another thing that you must focus on is personal branding. Personal branding, what do I mean by personal branding? I basically mean personal branding that in this part there comes LinkedIn, then there comes Twitter, and then it's Showcase. This is a very nice like this is a very nice site that I've come up with recently, right? So LinkedIn, Twitter, Showcase, like this is a very pretty good way, like where you can increase your connections, because in first year you have enough number of times. So like this is a like you need to increase your connections. Like right now, if you ask about myself, that I am in connection with some very great people like Sarah Williams, Eddie Howday, Logan Kilpatrick, Joe Carlson, and many great peoples, right? That was just because I started my connection, I started expanding my network basically from my first year. Right now, after that, what you can do is, as a first year, like start contributing to open source. Now, this is another thing, just like I mentioned about this thing, that active involvement in tech events. Like, how do you know that whether you are good at in that particular skill? Let's say you are a web developer, right? And how do you know that whether you are good at in web development or not? Right? That can be done by using, like, if you start contributing to open source. Yep. Right now we will be covering everything. Right? We have our speakers, Shopnonil and Abhishek. They will be telling you everything. Right? About open source, about Git and GitHub, right? That is another thing. But like here, like there will be issues, there will be large code bases, like how to read all those, like everything. They will go through everything. So I am not going to take that topic right now, okay, because that's their topic. So this is what you should do as a first year. If you do this properly, then it's a pretty good head start for you. Now, of course, like many people I have seen that, most of the juniors like ask me that like what should I, like, like I am an open source like I want to be a part of GSOC in my first year. Yes, it's pretty good, but it's not mandatory that as a first year you must have to get into, like, like you must like have to aspire for GSOC. Otherwise, अगर हिंदी में बोलूं तो लाइक एक हड़बड़ी सी हो जाती है, लाइक तुम लोग हड़बड़ी में सारी चीज करोगे, और हड़बड़ में भाई गड़बड़ होने का चांसेस बहुत ज्यादा है. So I would say, like, pretty avoid GSOC at first year. Like if you are able, if you think that you are capable enough, then of course go ahead. That's why, like, this is the main agenda of Diversion, to get a head start for you to start contributing to open source, right? Or if some of you are even aspiring for GSOC, yeah, this is a great platform. Anyway, now this is all about the first year. So see, let me tell you, whatever points that I've covered over here, you must cover each and every one. अगर तुम इसमें से एक भी मिस करते हो, then I would say, like, then I can't help. Actually, I can't help with that, right? फिर आके बोलोगे भैया like नहीं हुआ मैं, then it most probably, like, तुमने इसमें से कोई mistake किया होगा, then only you would have, like, you might have failed. Okay, so anyway, it's fine. Failure is a part, so it doesn't matter. So you will get to learn a lot. Now, what you should do when you come to second year? Now it comes like, now you are in second year, right? Now what you should do? So right now, same as first thing, that DSA. Right now you must be like, since you are practicing DSA from, you know, like from your first year, so right now you must be in that intermediate level. Okay, and same goes for open source contribution as well. Like you have had, you know, you have good PRs, you know, like a good GitHub profile, right, to showcase people, right? I would just see right here, good. Okay, yep. So next, that you can, right now you have a two paths to do. I mean, you can do it together or you can do it any one, right? You can do either of them. You can either go to CP, right? Now for CP, like we have Code Chef. You guys can even go to Code Forces, right? You can do any of it, right? So like we are not telling that you should be like only doing open source, right? What my personal advice is, if you ask me personally, I would advise that explore both the fields, right? Both of them are amazing. Whichever you feel like that, yeah, this is a thing, like this is the thing I love most, right? Basically do what you love, right? If you are seeing like, yeah, CP मेरे लिए अच्छा है, then okay, go for CP. If you think open source से मुझे ज़्यादा सीखने को मिल रहा है, then go for that, right? So okay, now you are in second year, you have leveled up your skills, you have done everything, you have done pretty good development and all. So now you can basically apply to some open source programs like GSOC, Outreachy, and after that MLS fellowship and etc, right? Then there is another very good thing, right? Another good fellowship that I would suggest you guys to, you know, like do take, be a part of this. That is GDP fellowship program, which is basically conducted by AICTE. I mean, having this thing in your resume, I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like you should be proud if you have this thing. Like तुम किसी को भी बोल सकते हो, हाँ भाई मैंने ये किया है, AICTE का है, ठीक है? I mean, one of my school juniors, like he cracked this in his first sem. Right, I recently put it in my stories as well. That yeah, that's pretty good, great of him. Now after that, you can be a part of like MLSA. What is MLSA? It is Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. Right, we have some few people in second year who already got that thing. So of course, kudos to them. Then you can even apply for GitHub Campus Expert, right? These are the things you will come to know by when you are, you know, like जैसे तुम काम करते रहोगे तुम्हें अपने आप इस के बारे में knowledge आता रहेगा. So that's completely fine. Then you can go to for development, like development now you are in the intermediate level. So like इस समय तुम लोग ने बहुत अच्छे खासे 2-3 projects मस्त बना के रखा है, ठीक है? And you can even switch to machine learning. I am just giving you a choice. You can even start machine learning at your first year as well. It's not necessary that you should start at second year, right? I'm try to understand what I mean exactly. Now let's say like those who are in machine learning from big, if you are a beginner, then you can, now you will be in an intermediate. Let's say you are a app dev guy. Okay, let's say you are doing app D right now, and in your first year, let's say you have done native, you have done pretty good projects in native, so now you can switch to Flutter, right? I'm just giving, these are the examples that I'm giving you, right? And after that, you know, like be a part of some open source communities. I mean, community learning is what can I say, this is the best way where you can learn any skill, because there are people like who will be actually helping you to grow, because they actually want you to grow, right? So this is the thing. So till now, any questions right now? I mean, I will just say like many people of you are from second year who are beginning from second year, right? You can start from this, but you have to you have to work hard. Okay, now you will say, bhaiya mujhe, I need a good job, I really want a good internship and anything like that. For that you must work, you have to work hard, right? There are like, you know, there's a lots of hypes of fang, but for that you have to be, you know, like you have to work hard for to be a like to work on those companies, right? So like, of course, now there can be another questions like, bhaiya, how can I manage DSA, development and college? This one I will come later on, but for right now I just want to know, like, is there anyone who has some questions they want to ask or anything like that? Anyone, you guys can raise your hand and we can, you know. Okay, so someone has asked that, bhaiya, app dev or web dev or web app, which is better? See, my suggestion would be, I would say tum khud se explore karo, explore it by yourself, right? Don't ask me, because I will give you my personal preference, right? Like I have worked in only web dev, so I didn't work in app dev, so I don't know about app dev much. But if you ask me web dev, yeah, web dev is a pretty good thing, and also app dev is also a pretty great thing. But if you really want, you have to explore, just like I mentioned in the first year and second year, like as a beginner, that is your exploring phase. Like you have to explore and you will know. Okay, now someone has asked, please elaborate community learning. Okay, community learning, like let's say you're doing a project, Okay, and there you got stuck, like you got you stuck in a bug, you know, like एक error आ गया, fix नहीं हो रहा है. So you can directly ask to the community, right? Community में जो भी है, there are many mentors, or you can put it in the general chat. In fact, even we have our Discord channel, right? We have our own Discord channel, so you guys can even ask anything like that. So one of the people in that community will help you fix your bug. I mean, try to understand that person don't even know you, right? वो तुम्हारे लिए पूरा stranger है, but still that person is helping you. That's the power of community, and that's the power of community learning. Okay, so bhaiya, I don't know which programming language, which one to take. See, it's like for DSA you can go for DSA. Basically, you can go for either of Java or C++. No personal preference. I know both of them, so I worked on both of them. So yeah, both of them are pretty good, right? किसी का कोई flaws है, किसी का कोई ज़्यादा अच्छा उसका like pros और cons दोनों ही हैं. So it's up to you, right? You can even do what you can say, like JavaScript as well. JavaScript अगर तुम लोग of course ये कर रहे हो तो करना ही पड़ेगा. And yeah, one more thing I left in second year thing, that what you have to do here is you have to basically you can even apply for internships. ठीक है, internships मतलब paid internships. Remember, paid internship. Like right now you are capable enough, you have done enough open source, you know, like you have done enough open source contribution, you know, enough DSA. So right now you must be, you know, like capable of getting a paid internship. Honestly, you will be able to do if you follow it properly, what I have started from the beginning. Okay, so this is the thing. Paid internships, वो unpaid internships हाँ कर सकते हो, right? If you are getting some research internships, like right now I am a research intern at one place, so you can do that as well. Unpaid internships सीखने को बहुत, लेकिन first priority paid internships. And please don't go to such places like जहाँ पे तुम्हें पैसा देना पड़ता है और तुम्हें internship का certificate मिलता है. Please don't do that. It's completely, you know, unethical, and yeah, I mean, what can I say, अच्छा नहीं है, ठीक है? ऐसा तुम ही लोग का पैसा लूटता है. So this is the biggest scam that is going on in India right now.
Yeah,
So try to
also
avoid
for
that.
courses बहुत जन बोलते हैं कि courses के लिए get like pay money and do the courses.
Yeah,
It's not required though.
actually, yep, absolutely. So anyway, I will be, see now right now since the time is going on, so I will be elaborating more at the end. So right now I will be passing my, you know, passing it to Swapnil. He will be basically telling you about what open source is. So yep, Swapnil,
Acha,
over to you now.
just when we transition, Shopnil, are you there?
Yep.
Yep. Before we transition to the next phase, anyone having any questions, I will just allow you guys to unmute for like 1 or 2 minutes, and you guys can actually,
Yeah.
you know, talk to us.
Any
So now you
questions,
guys
just
can
feel free.
unmute and talk to us. All right,
Yeah.
एक करके just raise up your hands and then we'll ask you up. Okay, कोई भी question हो, even if it is as simple as how to start and all that stuff, even if it is repetitive, we are here. Achha, so Anmol Raj is like, Bhaiya, the main purpose of learning programming is to grab a job. So I just want to know, does that matter? That branch really matters or not?
Okay, so I myself belong to a non-CS branch, guys, those who don't know me, but I am still doing pretty good in tech, right? Even there are lots of people I know, like lots of people, there are lots of seniors I know, right, who belong to some mechanical branch or electrical branch, but they are still doing pretty good in tech. They have a pretty good job in tech, basically. So of course, branch doesn't matter. Yeah, one thing, in if you are in a branch, like let's say, like if you belong to some other branches, so you have to apply little bit of efforts, of course, क्योंकि तुम्हारा CSE नहीं है, so you have to put efforts. If and there is a condition, like if you really want to put efforts, I mean, right
you should
now,
have the interest to
Yeah.
go into that particular that particular field, right? Also, there is a question that is popping up, and I want to take the light on that particular topic as well. Ki what kind of internships, what kind of paid internships are we going for in second years? Dekho, let's be very honest, okay? Since we are not in the top tier colleges, so it might happen that the range of internship is different when we are getting it in second year, right? So you guys should look for something which is like all these project based internships that you get. These are some small established startups, like they are not on the verge of start, but they have already been running for a year or two. And these startups, what they do is they hire students so that they can get their work done, and they pay the students a certain stipend for the month. All right, so guys can go for these kind of internships first at the very like foremost level. Once you have cross the threshold where you can take the stress of the job and make your like, see, even if you're having internships and you're getting paid, वो लोग बहुत stress देगा, ठीक है? If you're getting money, वो लोग बहुत stress देगा because नया companies है वो लोग and they have a lot of work. तुमको हो सकता है 5-6 काम एक साथ करना पड़े, तुमको SD का काम भी करना पड़े और साथ में तुमको ML जो आर्किटेक्ट है उसका भी काम करना पड़े, right? Am I wrong somewhere?
Yeah, you are
guys?
absolutely right. Like right now, if I give you my example, like right now I'm
मेरा भी,
yep, like absolutely, yep.
So like तुम लोग स्टार्ट करोगे, तुम लोग अगर स्टार्ट करोगे सो उस टाइप का ये से स्टार्ट करना, सो दैट क्या होगा, तुम लोग का एक्सपीरियंस गेन हो रहा है प्लस साथ में यू आर गेटिंग बिट ऑफ मनी फॉर योर यू नो एक्स्ट्रा नीड्स एज वेल, राइट? And then try to invest that money, don't call it up and spend it. Okay, all right, so Abhijit Kumar Singh has a question. Abhijit, you can go forward.
Yes, Bhaiya. Is there any event organized in our college for participant in ICPC?
ICPC ka, we have a lot of people who participate in ICPC, so you can form some groups like that. And since we are having a lot of community at present, like we have GDSC, we have ACM, then MLSA is also going to start. So what happens is you guys can actually like collaborate in these communities and start working towards ICPC. So that would be a good option in this scenario. Right?
Yeah, then how to get a team?
You have to communicate. Until and unless you communicate, there isn't any option. Shreya, can you just...
Yes.
Yeah.
I have one question, that is how we can get access to the communities that you are speaking of for learning. Like you said, the Discord one for our college, but we need to communicate with many other communities,
Yeah.
right? So where we can get the access.
We will
at the very end. Yeah, at the very end.
At the very end, we will give
we
you
will
all
be
the
giving
info.
some communities.
So don't worry about it. So
right, do we have a few more questions? Are certifications like AWS machine learning certifications worth preparing for? Acha dekho, there is a fine line. You guys will have a lot of you guys will have a lot of these courses that you can apply for. Acha, it's good to apply for those courses, but specialization course is the one that you should go for. अगर तुम लोग certificate के लिए जा भी रहे हो, जैसे Google IT professional एक certificate होता है, in which there is a set of courses that you have to complete, then you will get that particular specialization. And I don't think it adds much credibility to your CV. Like it does, but it's just like your degree. It is an educational thing that you have done. Doesn't add any kind of experience benefit to you. Am I wrong here? Swapnil, Arnav?
Nope,
you're absolutely correct.
So I think it's time to give Swapnil about, like, you know, like time is going on, so like passing on. Over to you, Swapnil.
Yeah, so let me just share my screen first. My screen's visible?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, just a second. Cool. So I hope my screen is visible and everything. So a bit of an introduction about me. I'm Swapnil from third year CEC department. Many of you might know me as the lead of GDSC IEM. Apart from that, just a small disclaimer. This particular presentation might seem a bit repetitive if you have attended the open source using Git session by GDSC, but since we are joined by the first years and the laterals mainly, so just bear with us for the time being. So we'll discuss everything and we'll take up questions at the end of the presentation. Okay, once I complete, Abhishek will be taking over and showing you a bit of hands-on with Git and GitHub. Okay, so beginning with, we'll be asking and answering some of the questions that comes to our mind when we talk about open source, right? So there'll be a series of questions in the presentation and we'll be answering them. Cool. So the first question that you might be asking or might be having in your mind is that what is open source, right? We have been, since the time we have started talking about that diversion, we are parallelly talking about open source as well, right? So what exactly is open source? So basically, to put it in a very simple way, it's basically open source softwares are the ones which are freely available to use, and its code is also available to everyone, right? And for example, let's say the Brave browser. If you're familiar with the Brave browser, it's an open source browser. It's like the browser is free, and its code is also available to everyone in GitHub, right? Now, so all these open source project or open source applications go through a very transparent process, and what it means is that it is reviewed and judged by the community present before it is actually released. So the community comes up with some like if they face any bugs, or if there are any issues in a particular application, they go to the GitHub, they call out to the community, that call out to the owners of the project that there are some issues and this needs to be solved and everything. So that's the complete idea of open source. It's basically that it's free, open to use, and the code is available, so you can contribute to it and everything. So with open source software, there is another term which frequently comes into our mind, that is freeware. And are they same? Well, not really. They have their similarities, they have their differences. Basically, open source software and freeware, both of them are free to use. But for example, open source software's codes are available, and freeware, the codes are not available, right? Just like let's say Google Chrome and Brave, that's a simple comparison you can take, right? Why open source? Number one, obviously it's free. I just mentioned that. The second point is sorry. The second point is that you get to interact with an amazing community, right? Just as I said, let's take the example of the Brave browser. So when you are communicating with them regarding any issues or any bugs, so you're actually communicating with some of the leading developers out there. You're solving problems with them. You are like, it's like a community environment. Like, you are solving problems together. You are coming up with issues and all, right? The next point is you get to learn from the best out there. I just mentioned that with the second point itself, that you get to learn from the best out there. Whenever you have any problem, you post it on Stack Overflow, or you directly post it on GitHub or anywhere else. You get to learn from the best developers out there in the community. That's the actual power of open source, right? It's just not about coding. It's more about the community, right? It's secure, it's flexible too, right? Because source is just not about the software itself. It's also about it's also about the hardware too, like Arduino, Pilot. All of those things are open source as well, right? It's just not about the software developers only. So yeah, so the next point that comes up to our mind is, why should I contribute to open source? So it's like a game in a real life, right? You are let's say you are playing the Valorant. The more hours you put into that game, the more points, the more ranking you gain, right? The more XP points you gain, right? So the more lines of code you write, the more bugs you fix, or the more issues you solve, the more experience you get as a whole, right? Apart from that, you said I have a bad throat. So apart from that, it's something about giving back to the community. Like, whenever we are starting out as a developer, we are looking into GitHub repositories or some projects on GitHub, which are at a beginner level, right? You are actually looking for projects which are beginner level projects in GitHub. We don't usually, when we start out, we don't usually go and start with advanced projects. So those beginner projects in the present in GitHub or somewhere else actually helps us. So it's the community helping us. And when you start contributing to open source, you are doing the exact same thing. You're helping the next generation of upcoming developers with your projects, wherein people will start looking up to your project contributions to understand what exactly they need to do in order to get into the field, right? Apart from that, you get the recognition for the efforts you put in, right? There's something called bug bounty in cybersecurity. I'm not a cybersecurity guy, but many of you might be familiar with it. So in bug bounty, you get paid, or you get the recognition for finding bugs in applications, right? Here, it's the same kind of idea that you get your efforts recognized in the community, like your contributions are recognized, and everything like the community lets you know. I mean, you get all the recognition and support from the community for all the efforts, for all the contributions you have put in, right? You also get to be a part of some amazing global open source events. We'll discuss them a bit later. And after all, as I just said, it's just not about the code, it's about the community as well, right? So these are some of the open source events which are present in the current scenario. You might be familiar with the one Google Summer of Code, or as we know it, GSOC. It's the absolute pinnacle of student-based open source program, wherein actual organizations come in with their projects, and you apply with your proposal, and you participate. You work with them for 3 to 4 months, and like those things. If you know, so Soham Biswas from our college, he's in 4th year right now. He was a part of GSOC in 2020. He's currently working at CERN, Switzerland, as a computer scientist. He was a part of the Python Software Foundation in GSOC in 2020, if I remember correctly. Okay, anyways, moving on. There are a couple of other programs which are more beginner friendly, like there is Octoberfest, which is like a celebration event for open source, which happens in the month of October. You complete some challenges, you complete some pull requests. What are pull requests exactly? Abhishek will be talking to you about that. Apart from that, there's Outreachy, there's Winter of Code, which is conducted by one of the sister GDACs, by NSEC specifically. And there's GirlScript Summer of Code. As you know, GirlScript is one of our collaborators for this event. They have this program called GirlScript Summer of Code, which helps you. It's basically very similar to Google Summer of Code, but it's kind of beginner friendly, so it helps you get a push into the world of open source, right? And the final question that we have in our mind is that, what is the impact of open source contribution in our lives, right? Really sorry. So it basically provides us with a platform to turn our ideas into reality, right? At some point, all of us have multiple ideas, multiple project ideas in our minds, right? But whenever we try to realize that idea, we tend to push off that idea because we might not be able to complete it or code it or whatever it may be, but we are not able to realize that idea just due to the lack of some amount of knowledge. But open source, the complete community, enables us to hold of people who can actually help us and turn our ideas into reality, right? The whole idea of diversion is exactly that. You have some amazing project ideas, you have a boilerplate of your projects, and you need people to actually help you complete that project, right? So that's exactly what diversion is all about, right? And apart from that, it's just not only the platform to perfect our dev skills, right? It's also about getting valuable feedback from all the seasoned contributors out there, from all the veteran developers who are present in the community for the past 10 to 15 years, right? Their valuable feedback is actually what we need to get a push to make our project perfect, right? And apart from that, the final thing is that when you are getting into jobs or internships, they require you to have certain kind of experience, right? They don't actually take absolute beginners. They are saying those are entry level jobs or entry level internships, but those are actually not, because you need to have some kind of experience, right? For example, if you are going for a front end developer internship, they'll ask you if you know React, Next.js, or something like that, right? You need to have some kind of internship. And to be very honest, our college curriculum isn't built like that, that we are taught web dev or app dev. It's the concepts surrounding that, right? So you need to learn it by yourselves. And the perfect way to do that is through open source. You begin with some bug fixings, you begin with some issues. There's something called good first issue in GitHub. You begin with that. You then go on to your own projects. People start contributing to your projects. That's how you learn. That's how you get the experience of how you need to deal with open source and all, right? So apart from that, the thing is, how can we go about contributing to open source? Well, there comes in the actual part of Git, GitHub, Gitlab, etc. So I guess I'll stop here now. If you have some questions, you can. I'm not seeing the chat box right now, but I'll see it just now. And if you have some questions, if not, Abhishek will continue with his part. So, any questions?
All right. So I guess we come to the end of our second level as well. All right. There are a few more things. There is a one last level which Abhishek will be covering up, and you guys will be able to see how you can raise a PR, how you can work with Git and everything on a hands-on basis. You can follow Abhishek and ask him to wait as well, so that you can do along with him. That is fine. Anyone having any questions? I am allowing you to unmute again, so you can unmute and ask us. Yep. Swaptoshi, anything?
For open source, how do you actually define contributing to open source?
पहले तो सर मत बोलो.
No, I'm saying source, not source.
अच्छा, source. हाँ.
Oh, source. अच्छा.
अच्छा,
तो open source contribution मतलब कि क्या है कि मतलब let's say there's a project out there, कोई भी project है जो तेरे को पसंद है, right? Which you like. ठीक है. So if you want to contribute to it, like no project is perfect, right? That there's something we need to put out there, that no project is actually perfect. There will be bugs, there will be issues, and if not that, there will be feature addition, etc. Anything out there. So open source contribution is basically contributing to actual projects available in the world. I'm putting it in a weird way. Available out there. In which you are interested and you want to contribute. You're gonna just go there and contribute. You'll say you'll contact them, you'll go up to them and tell them there's this issue you want to solve, then they'll assign that issue to you. Yeah, you'll say there's this problem, there's this feature you want to add to the project, and then they'll assign that to you. It's like that. Answered your question.
I have one more thing. What will I gain? What will I gain from this?
You will gain just as I said, it's not about the money. It's not about anything else. It's all about the experience you gain, which will actually help you later in life. Like when you are going for internships or when you are going for jobs, the only thing, it's not the only thing, but the most important thing you'll be needing is your dev skills. If you are going for a dev role, like a developer role, the most important thing you will be needing is that particular skill. So if you are not building that skill from the very first day or the very first year, it's kind of difficult at the end of the line, right? It's like mathematics, right? If you're not practicing, you are not perfect in that. It's kind of similar to that. Weird analogy, but it's similar that you need to practice so you'll get perfect in that.
Just one add-on to Swapnil. So whoever asked this question right now, कि what कि मुझे इससे क्या फायदा है? Swapnil gave the correct answer, and I just want to add one more thing. Right now, he took a name of one of our seniors named Soham Biswas. Right. First thing, you guys are completely familiar that we belong to a IIT college, right? So open source will actually help you to stand out, right, among others. If you have a very good open source profile, like you have contributed to some very good open source projects, right, then you will get a like you see, let's say there is a candidate. Let's say there is a candidate A, candidate B. A candidate A and B, both of them have same skills, okay? But in the resume, if it's like candidate A का open source contribution ज़्यादा है than candidate B. मान लो candidate B has 0 contributions. So as an interviewer or as a recruiter will prefer candidate A more because that person is having more open source contributions. And just like I will just tell you one thing, Soham Biswas bhaiya, like in CERN, in 2021, CERN just hired only 2 people from all over the India, right? वहाँ पे IIT and triple IIT के सारे बंदे लोग थे. Just because Soham bhaiya का, he was of course he was amazing in his in Python and amazing in open source. So that's why he was one of them. ठीक है, 2 जन को select किया था और उनमें से वो थे, right? One perk, he was one thing that he was very good at is one of the reason that he got selected is open source. In the same way, like
he had an edge that he was a part of GSOC.
Yes, because he was contributing to open source, right? So this is the thing. So and one more thing, he only told us, like one day we were having a meet with me and Ritesh were having a meet with Soham bhaiya. He told us one thing, that when you are contributing to open source is all about how much you're giving rather than expecting nothing back. You're not expecting anything from open source. Rather, you are contributing to it, and somehow, like in some way, you will get like like compounding results मिलेगा तुम्हें. तुम्हारा skills, you will be so much confident in your skills that it will actually at the end help you only, right? So help you like
So
it's like
can I also open an open source project?
Yep, absolutely. You can have a project. You can maintain a repository, right? तुम अपना projects को public कर सकते हो, right? This is comes to another topic जो end में cover होगा. So
yep, one more
honest, हाँ बोलो.
हाँ बोल रहे थे यही कि ओपन सोर्स में अच्छा होने के लिए आपको क्या क्या आना चाहिए?
ओपन सोर्स एक कॉन्सेप्ट है, जस्ट लाइक उसके लिए लाइक इट्स नॉट limited to only like web development, app development. ऐसा कुछ लिमिट नहीं है. It's a concept कि your project is open to the world and people are contributing to it and you are also being a part of that, right? So वो वेब डेव हो सकता है, वो ऐप डेव हो सकता है, वो मशीन लर्निंग हो सकता है, वो हार्डवेयर हो सकता है. लाइक हार्डवेयर ऑल्सो नीड्स coding, right? Arduino हो जाए, Arduino Pilot हो जाए, whatever it may be, it needs a bit of coding, right? So all of those things, right? It's just not a concept or like that.
Also, I am also first year in my college. I'm pursuing BTech. I also want to know that, but currently some seniors came into our class and told that anyone is good at video editing, graphic designing, such, please come to our club, join our club. So I also asked them that you are recruiting those who are good at something. What about those who want to be good at that thing? So do you have any thing to say on that? How to be good at anything?
Just that's
This will help me.
Yeah, मतलब if you want to be good in something, just start practicing that. I mean, मतलब तुमको अगर सच में video editing करना है, if you want to actually do it, just start practicing, just start doing it. Then only you'll get the taste of it and you'll start liking. Like मेरे को अगर अभी like I am a web developer, right? मेरे को अभी अगर कोई आके बोले तुमको app dev में काम करना है, I cannot just start doing it one day, right? I need to practice it. I need to be good in it. That takes a certain amount of time, right? So if you want to do video editing, you want to do web development, just start practicing it. Eventually you'll be good at it.
Right, that's what like open source is all over. Like किसी चीज में कैसे
भैया
बोलो.
भैया मेरा नाम दीपक सिंह है, आईएम से फर्स्ट ईयर में हूँ।
बोलो।
और भैया मुझे सी प्रोग्रामिंग में इफ एल्स स्टेटमेंट, लूप, एरे, पॉइंटर्स और भी फंक्शन, रिकर्सन, वो सभी का नॉलेज है। उसमें मैंने बहुत अच्छा सॉफ्टवेयर भी बनाया है, लेकिन मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि डाइवर्जन में मतलब कैसे प्रोजेक्ट रजिस्टर होगा, कैसे इसमें आगे बढ़ना है। मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ इसमें आने के लिए?
अच्छा,
Arnab, can you take that?
yep, absolutely. See, I can just tell you, like, can you just tell me what your project is all about? तुम अपना प्रोजेक्ट
भैया
क्या
मैंने सिंपल सॉफ्टवेयर बनाया, जैसे सीक्वेंस एंड सीरीज पर समेशन ऑफ सीरीज का कुछ सॉफ्टवेयर बनाया है, कंपाउंड इंटरेस्ट कैलकुलेट करने का कुछ सॉफ्टवेयर बनाया है, जो नॉर्मल ट्यूटोरियल में होता है।
अच्छा अच्छा,
मैं अभी सीख ही रहा हूँ, लेकिन उसमें आधा मैंने सी लैंग्वेज पूरा कर लिया है।
मैं समझ गया। देखो, अभी ये सब बिगिनर लेवल प्रोजेक्ट्स है, मतलब ये सब ठीक है, लेकिन लाइक जैसे हम लोग डाइवर्जन में बेसिकली कौन से प्रोजेक्ट्स में फोकस कर रहे हैं, मैं तुम्हें वही बता रहा हूँ जो रियल लाइफ ओरिएंटेड है। आई मीन कुछ एक ऐसा आइडिया जो तुम्हें लगता है कि वो लाइक आम इंसान का जिंदगी में थोड़ा इम्प्रूवमेंट ला सकता है। आर यू गेटिंग इट? समथिंग लाइक दैट। तो वैसे वैसे प्रोजेक्ट्स तुम अगर हमारे वेबसाइट में जाके हमारे प्रोजेक्ट्स देखोगे, इट विल बी समथिंग व्हिच इज लाइक सम पीपल आर फेमिलियर अबाउट इट इन द रियल लाइफ। सो वही है। तो अभी तुम उसके बारे में चिंता मत करो, राइट? लेट्स सो क्योंकि देखो अभी टाइम भी चले आ रहा है ना, तो दैट्स व्हाई लाइक एवरीवन हैज देयर इंपॉर्टेंट वर्क। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट अबाउट लेट्स अभिषेक टेक द सेशन राइट नाउ, राइट? तुम्हारा जो डाउट है वी विल क्लियर एट द एंड। इनफैक्ट ये सिर्फ तुम्हारा डाउट नहीं है, ये यहाँ पे 190 पीपल, आई कैन सी 189 190 पीपल, सबका डाउट है। तो एक साथ मैं सबका लास्ट में इसको क्लियर करूंगा। सो कैन यू प्लीज
भैया
रिवील दैट?
एक चीज चाह रहे थे भैया, जैसे कि कोई किन्हीं का अच्छा प्रोजेक्ट हो, आप लोग का जो प्रोजेक्ट आप लोग जिस पर काम करे, तो उनके साथ मैं काम नहीं कर सकता हूँ? मुझे बेसिक नॉलेज है
ऑफ कोर्स कर
प्रोग्रामिंग
सकते
लैंग्वेज
हो,
का।
क्यों नहीं कर सकते हो? ऑफ कोर्स कर सकते हो। वही सारा डाउट
उसके
है,
लिए
देखो।
मैं
ये जो सारा
देखो
जो चीज है,
उसके लिए मैं कैसे करूंगा?
हाँ देखो, जो चीज है कि तुमको उनको जाके बोलना पड़ेगा कि तुम इंटरेस्टेड हो, क्योंकि वो लोग तो ऐसे बोलेंगे नहीं ना कि तुम आ जाओ, ऐसे तो नहीं बोलेंगे ना। तुमको जाके उनको
जी
बोलना पड़ेगा कि तुम इंटरेस्टेड हो इस प्रोजेक्ट में, तुमको इस पे काम करना है, तुमको ये आता है। देन वो लोग सोचेगा कि तुमको लेना चाहिए, नहीं लेना चाहिए, एक्सेट्रा।
तो उनका इंफॉर्मेशन कहाँ से मिलेगा कि वो लोग
सारा
क्या क्या
इंफॉर्मेशन
प्रोजेक्ट?
लास्ट में हम लोग देंगे, तो तुम एकदम चिंता
सब
मत
दे
करो।
देंगे, सब दे देंगे।
Right now I think it's we have like taken a lot of time, so Abhishek, can you please take over and
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna share my screen. Tell me if you can see my screen. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
Awesome. Okay. So let me just open. Yeah. Okay. So hi guys, I'm Abhishek and I'm in third year in IEM. Okay. So I have about 1.5 years of commercial experience in the real world. So we've talked about open source and version control and all of this, right? So we're going to be learning about Git today, right? So Git is used in open source as well as it's used in the real world when we are doing internships. So I know a lot of you are here for Diversion, but as Arnab mentioned that you guys might also want to do internships in your first and second year. So learning Git and version control is very important even when you're going to do jobs, because all our code are uploaded to GitHub or Gitlab. I'll tell you what these are in a bit. Okay. So yeah, let's start. Okay. So what is version control, right? I'm sure all of you have experienced version control before. This is, I'm going to show you an example of version control in this Google Docs. I'm sure everyone of you has used Google Docs before, right? So suppose I've made these changes in Google Doc, right? So if I look at the history of this, it will show me all the versions that have been passed on from this doc. So the very first version of this doc was a blank document, right? Then I made some changes. This is some changes. Then I made some changes today morning, and it shows that I've crossed out this line and I've added a new line. So you can see different versions of the doc as it has gone through time, right? Another feature of version control is that we can go back to a certain version when we want. So our current version is this, right? It has hello world and stuff. if we want to go back to a version that we made yesterday, so let's say this version, we can just say, we can just click this button and do a restore version, right? So our version will be restored to this version that we had yesterday. Okay, so now let's give a bookish definition of what version control is. So it's basically tracking and managing changes to software code. It can be other stuff as well, like I showed in this Google Docs, right? It can be those histories and stuff. And how do we come about implementing version control? We do it using Git. Okay, so what is Git? Git is basically, I'm going to give a bookish definition, and if you guys have any question, I'm going to answer it at the end. Okay, so Git is basically a version control system which will track the changes we make to files, right? So we have our code in files, so any changes we made to these codes will be tracked by Git. Okay, and then we can go back to certain versions like I showed you over here, right? We can jump between versions and stuff. So Git does the same thing, but with our code files. Okay. And another thing that Git does is it makes collaboration easier. So suppose two or more developers are working on the same file of code, right? So Git helps us to see what changes are being made by which developer. So in this Google Docs scenario, suppose Arnab also made a change over here. He wrote his name, that my name is Arnab. So it would show in this history that Arnab has made this change, and it would also show that this change has been made by me. So that's how version control helps you to see who is making what changes. Okay. So any doubts on that, by the way? Guys, Arnab, if there is any like big
I
doubt,
will let you know.
then
Yeah, if you
tell
have
me,
any
I'll
doubt, just
stop
write
the
in the
session
chat
now.
box, please. Write in the chat, please, guys.
Okay, so we learned that Git is used for version control, to implement version control. Now, where can we use Git? Where are these? I told you that we track the versions of our code files, right? So where are these code files uploaded? They're uploaded to a website called GitHub. Okay, so I think you might have heard of GitHub. If not, then this is basically a code hosting platform for version control and collaborating with others. Okay. It looks a bit intimidating. I know it was intimidating to me at first also, but I'll explain everything to you. So on this website, we can upload files and folders, which hopefully contain code. I mean, I'm saying hopefully because I've seen movies also being uploaded. It's a bit like Google Drive, but please don't upload movies to GitHub. I've seen people do it. Don't do that. It's very awkward. Upload code, okay? So we also have platforms such as GitLab. Okay, it's the same as GitHub. It's just that the user interface is a bit different. Okay, today I'll be showing you how to use GitHub, but you can use all the commands that I show you today on GitLab also. The only difference is the UI is a bit different. And if you guys are going to be participating in Diversion, right? So I'm guessing most of the code is on GitHub. So GitLab won't be used. GitLab is mostly used by companies when you go for internships and stuff. Okay, right. So yeah, I'm going to keep this session very crisp and just introduce you to the basics of Git and GitHub. Okay, I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot to learn, but I'm going to keep this short so that you guys can start contributing right after I end this session. Well, that's the plan actually. Hopefully you guys can. Okay. So to use all this, you guys need to first have Git installed on your system, right? So for those of you who are using Windows, it is a two-step process. Okay, you first need to have Git installed on your system, and then you need to have Git Bash installed on your system. Okay, so Git is actually like the language that we use, or it's yeah, I told you what Git is, right? So I'll paste these links in the chat, right? So you guys can. Is everyone using Windows here? Is anyone also on Linux? So the link that I pasted here, this is for installing Git. Okay, if you have a 64-bit system, then you just click this, and I think an .exe file will be downloaded, and you can run that. Okay, so once you have Git installed on your Windows system, you go to this website and install Git Bash. What is Git Bash? Git Bash is basically a terminal where you can run your commands. Okay. You can run it on command prompt, I think, but I'm not too sure. But try to use Git Bash because it's optimized for using Git commands. Okay, so these are the two things you need on a Windows system. If you're using Linux, then it's much easier because it's just a terminal command, right? All you have to do is copy this and paste it on your terminal, and Git will be installed, right? Sorry, was someone saying something? Okay, anyway, so if any one of you is using Linux, then you guys will know that there are various flavors of Linux. So you can select whichever is for your system, right? And if any of you in first and second year are using Arch, then respect to you, man. I'll paste this link also. This is for Linux. Okay. And since I am using Linux, I'll just show it to you how it's done. So I just copy this command, and if I open my terminal, I'll just paste it in my terminal, right? Okay, so you can see that it took me like 2 seconds because Git is already installed on my system. Okay, it's already on the newest version. Yeah. So once you have installed Git on Windows or Linux, whichever OS you are on, you can check if it is properly installed by using this command, git -- version. Okay, so this will show you if you have a Git version installed. You can see I have 2.25 installed on my system. Okay, now I wrote this git command on my terminal because I'm on Linux. For those of you who are on Windows, write it on Git Bash. Okay, so I'm saying this a lot of times. Every Git command that you write or execute, do it on Git Bash. It will save you a lot of headache. Okay, all right. So now we've checked that we have Git installed. The next topic is making a repo. What is a repo? So a repo is basically short for repository. Great. Now, what is a repository? So a repository can be a file. It can be a bunch of files. It can be a folder. It can be a bunch of folders containing a bunch of files inside those folders. Okay, you get me? So this is a repository I have. This is a repository. This is my username in GitHub, and this is the name of the repository. Okay, it's a public repository, and you can see that I have 3 files inside my repository. Okay, so these are this is basically a repository, right? So you upload your code files to GitHub. This is how you do it. Now you'll be asking, okay, that's good, but how do we create a repository, right? So creating a repository can be done in 2 ways on GitHub. One is I'll just creating it from, I'll show you again. The first way is by just if I go to the home page. So if I go to the home page of GitHub, this is your home page, by the way. Okay, you'll see a new button over here for under repositories. You can click the new button. That means you're creating a new repository. Okay, so this page will show up after that for creating this repository. Now let's go through this kind of form thing that we have been presented with. So first we'll ask you who's the owner. Okay, so you guys will probably have to make a GitHub account if you don't have one. Okay, so once you've made the GitHub account, then it will show your name over here. Then we have to give a repository name. Okay, so let's give the name as GitHub session. Hopefully it's available. Okay, yeah, it's available. And we're gonna select private for now, but you guys can keep it public. Okay, and then we just go down here and click create repository. Okay, now what's all this? Don't be scared. Okay, so this is basically, you can go through this when you create a repository. It just tells you the 2 ways of I'm going to explain this, but it just tells you the 2 ways in which you can basically create a repository on GitHub. So once you have created this repository, what you can do is if you have existing code files on your system, then you can upload it to this, right? Or you can link this repository to a folder in your local system. Now I'm going to be mentioning 2 terms a lot, local and remote. Okay, what does local mean? Local means all the files that are on your laptop or on your computer, and remote means all the files that are on GitHub. Okay, so this is remote, and all the files that you have in your file explorer are basically local, right? So yeah, so we've created this repository. Now, since you guys will be contributing to Diversion, you will be making changes to the code of already existing repositories. You won't be creating repositories, right? There will already be repositories existing, and you will be adding code to that, right? Adding or changing code to that. So let me show you an existing repository. Okay. Yeah, so this is a repository I already showed you, right? So suppose, let's just say that this repository is a repository that was accepted in Diversion. I didn't apply, so it didn't get accepted, so I'm sad, but anyway. So suppose this is accepted in Diversion. What we will do is, in fact, if I should I show you cloning first, or yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I'll just go back to this empty repository that I made, okay, and I'll show you how to connect this to your existing repository that's on your local, okay, so on your actual machine. So if you go to a file explorer, okay, so suppose we're in this temp folder, okay, so you keep your files in a folder, right, even on Windows and stuff, okay. So if you guys have any questions about Linux and how this is working, then please ask, and I guess David or Arnav will answer. So you guys have folders in Windows, and suppose you want to copy this repository in this temp folder. So what we will do is we will first have to tell Git that I want to make this temp folder a Git repository. So how will we do that? We will use the command git init. So that basically means that we're initializing this folder as a Git repository. So git initialize, so git init, okay? So once that's done, it will tell you that this folder has been initialized as an empty Git repository and a .git file has been added. Okay. Then what we will do is, so this right now, this folder is still not connected to this remote repository. Okay, it's been initialized as an empty repository, but it's not connected to this. To connect to this repository, what we do is we have to add remote origin. Okay, so remember I told you this was remote. So we have to add that over here. We have to tell Git that this folder is actually connected to this remote repository. We do that using git remote add origin, and we copy this thing. Okay, it's already present here for every time you create a new repository. Okay, so we copy this and paste it in our terminal. Now we have added this remote repository to our local repository. So these two are now connected. So now you might be asking, how will we upload code from our local repository to this repository? Because you can see I'm already in the code tab, right? And you can't see any code here. You can only see like commands that they're asking you to create new repositories and all that stuff. So let's add a new file. Okay, let's just say let's name it hello world.txt. Okay. And after we've added a file, I'll tell you a really cool command in Git. Okay, it's called Git Status. Use it all the time. Okay, please use it all the time because it's very helpful. It gives you an insight into what's happening in your local repository. So I've written Git Status here, and it says that it tells you three things. It tells you which branch I'm on. Okay, I'll get to what branches are in a bit. It tells you I have no commits. I'll also tell you what a commit is in a bit. And lastly, it tells you the untracked files. Okay, so when you add a file to a repository, it can be untracked, it can be committed, and then it can be pushed. Okay, so the file can be pushed. So right now, untracked means that if we make any changes, okay, it's not going to be tracked. So if I open, so like if I commit this, if I try to push all my files from here to my remote repository, hello world will not go on here because it's not being tracked by Git. You want the files that you want to push to your remote repository to be tracked by Git. Okay, so how do we tell Git to track this file? So it's simple. We just say git add star. Okay, so we're saying that add all the files to tracked files, and dot basically means all files. Okay, so we can also say git add and then hello world. We can specify certain files. So if we have 3 files and we only want to push one file, then we can specify which file we want to push, right? Or we can specify a folder in that way also. But usually you just use git add dot. Okay, so dot means everything. So we're adding every file we have in a temp folder to be tracked by git. Once we've done that, we use this command again. Now see, it's saying that this change is now tracked. Okay, so it's saying that a new file, hello world, is being tracked and it's to be committed. We haven't committed this change. Okay, so so basically the workflow on Git is that we add this file to tracked files. Okay, then we commit this file and then we push it to the remote repository. Okay, so so let me just write that down if you understood. So
Abhishek, just sorry to interrupt. Someone has asked what is the difference between remote and clone? Yep.
Remote and what?
Someone has asked what is the difference between remote and clone?
Okay, so remote is basically all the files that are present over here, okay, in GitHub. And cloning is when you already have an existing repository. So you have this repository, okay, and then you're gonna you want to clone this repository to your local. So you're gonna copy this whole repository to your local, okay. So you do it like I'll show you how to clone. Okay, so since we created an empty repository, there's nothing to clone here. So cloning basically means copying all the code from remote to your local. Okay, so it's not really a difference. It's a totally different thing. Remote is the code present on GitHub, and cloning is copying all the code that is present on GitHub to your local machine. Okay, I'll show you how to clone in a bit. But since we have this empty repository, let's first add some code into this empty repository. Okay, so yeah, the workflow for Git was git add, right? Then git commit. We're committing all the changes, and then git push. Git push basically means we're pushing all the committed changes to this remote repository. Okay. So we've already done git add. So these files are being tracked. Now we want to commit these changes, right? So let's say git commit, and whenever we're committing a change, always remember to add a message to that commit. It's called a commit message, and please remember to add meaningful commit messages. Okay, otherwise you will be frowned upon by the open source community and also co-workers if you're in an internship. So this is a bad commit message. Okay, this is an even worse commit message. This is a good commit message, hopefully. Okay, so you want to mention what changes you're making in this commit. Okay, so this is like a version you're pushing. Okay, so once we've committed this, it will tell you what changes have been committed. So one file has changed, so because we added one file, right? Now again, let's type in git status and see what's going on. It's saying we're on branch master again and nothing is to be committed. So where did our file go? Our file is still not on our remote repository. No, if I refresh this, it's still not here, but it's disappeared from our git status as well. If I can get my terminal to come back, please come back. Sorry about that. Okay, so it's still the file has been committed, but it's not showing on git status because it's been committed. Git status only shows you untracked files and tracked files and any changes that you have made. So if I make another change over here, if I make let's say file 2.txt, right? So I've added a new file, then I can see that it again shows me that this file is not tracked. Okay, but I already have a committed change over here. So I want to push this change to my remote repository. So to do that, we will say git push origin. Origin is basically the remote. We're referring, origin is a pointer to the remote. Okay, and then we specify the branch. Okay, when you create a Git repository, the default branch is either going to be master or main. In some organizations, it's main because they don't like the master word because of master slave stuff. But in older repositories, it's still going to be master. And I still use master because I'm a boomer. Anyway, so And yeah, so this is the branch that we want to push to because it's the only branch we have. Let's see what it says. Okay, so we haven't got any errors. That's good. So we have pushed that one file to our remote GitHub repository. Has it arrived yet? Let's see. There you go. There's our first there's a file that we made. Okay, so now we can see all the commits that are in a repository. If we click over here, it shows you how many commits are on this branch. Okay, so this shows you which branch you're on, and this shows all the commits in that branch. So if we click this, it shows that I made one commit 3 minutes ago, and the commit message is displayed over here. So if you want to see what I actually made, what changes I made in this commit, I can click this commit, and it shows me that I changed one file with 0 additions and 0 deletions. This is because it's an empty file. There wasn't any code inside. Okay, it's an empty file. If there was any code and I changed something, then it would also show what I changed inside the file. Okay, so so I taught you how to make a commit, right? So let's go over it again. So if you remember, I had another file. Okay, so let's add that file. Let's track that file. Okay, it's being tracked now. So then we commit it again. This is my second commit. And then we push it to our repository, remote repository, pointing it to our remote repository and then mentioning the branch. Right, now if I refresh this, it will show me both of my commits. Okay, so if I click on second commit now, it shows that I have another file, another change file, so I added file 2. Okay, so does this look similar to you guys? Does it remind you of this? What are you guys saying? Does it remind you of this? Okay, Arnav understands, which is good. That's great. So okay, a lot of you do understand. Great. So these were versions. These are also versions. Okay, so this is one version of the code I had. This is the second version of the code. So in the first version, I only had one file, and in the second version, I have 2 files. Okay, so this is how I can see how I'm building something through different versions. Okay, all right. Just give me 1 second. I am losing my voice. Okay, now that I've showed you how to add, how to create an empty repository and how to push code into that empty repository, let's now see how you guys will actually make changes to repositories in Diversion, right? So going back to this, suppose this is a repository in Diversion, right? To make changes to this repository, suppose we want to make changes to index.html. Okay, I guess you guys know HTML, so we want to make some changes to index.html. We can't make changes over here, right? We don't have we can't code here. So what we will do, we need this repository to be on our local, right? We want to copy all the code from this remote repository onto our local repository, and that is called cloning. Okay, to clone this repository, what we do is you see a code over here. We click code, right? And we just copy this link that's provided. Okay, so once we've copied this link, and I've lost my terminal again. There it is. Let's make a new so we've copied that link. We're going to make a new folder, okay, just for this app. So let's name the folder voting app, and we're going into the folder, right? So now we're in this folder, and we want to copy all that code that we have in this remote voting D app into our local voting D app folder. How do we do that? It's very simple. Git clone, and we paste that link. That's it. I said this is called cloning, so all we have to write is git clone and this link. Okay, so now if you see what's inside our folder, okay, so it has created actually another folder inside this folder. To stop this from happening, what you can do is when you're pasting this command, you can add space and then dot. Okay, so what dot will do is it will not create an extra folder. So this is the name of this repository. So it's create another folder with the name of this repository. So if you use dot, then it won't create a new folder. It will just copy the code into the folder you created. Okay. So since we have created a new folder, let's just go into that for now. And so you can see that the 3 files that we had on a remote have come over here. We can see these files over here. If we open this with an IDE, then these are the 3 files that we had. So now we can make any changes in this file and then push the changes to our local repository. Okay, so I'll show you. I'll make a small change and then I'll push it, right? So first, before making any changes, I'll just run the git status command, and it shows that everything is up to date, right? There's no changes. Now, if we make a change over here, let's say let's make a commit, or I'm just gonna add a comment over here, right? So so basically what we did is we added a new line, line number 17, and we added a comment, right? Let's see what git status says that we have done. And it's saying that we have modified index.html, right? So we have made some changes to index.html, and that is true. We have made some changes, right? Let's also now make some changes to, holy shit, let's make some changes over here, right? We'll add another commit over here. And we do not want to push this change to our local repository. So we're just going to say commit, which is not to be pushed to remote, sorry. Okay, so now let's do the git status command again. And it's saying that we have made 2 changes to index and voting ballot file. Okay. Now I said that we only wanted to make changes to index.html, right? So we want Git to only track the changes we made in index.html file. So what did I say is the command for tracking changes in Git? It's git add, right? Git add, and then we won't do dot, because if I do dot, then it will track the changes for both files. We don't want to do that. We only want to specify index.html. So now git status again. So now changes which will be committed is this file, and changes which are not staged yet is this file, right? So let's commit these changes. Okay, so this is a very bad commit message, but since it's my repository, it's my rules. Please don't do this on open source repositories. So now I made this commit, okay, and so basically now the changes are the changes that I made on index.html have been committed, and it's ready to be pushed to my local to my remote repository. Okay, so let's push these changes. You guys remember the command git push and origin, and then the branch name. In this one, in this repository, my default branch is main and not master. Like I said, it can be main or either master. When you're committing, just have a look what the default branch is. Okay, so these changes has been committed. If I go and see the commits, you can see these are all the previous versions that I made, and this is the commit that I made today. Okay, so I think now you guys know how to directly make a commit to any repository, whether it be an empty repository or whether it be an open source repository. Okay, but let's be honest, this is still not how it works in the real world. You will not just clone a repository and make some changes and push it to the main branch. Okay, you will never push to a main branch. Usually there's usually various branches, and you either select a branch and push to that. Let me explain what a branch is quickly. Okay, so I told you about the master branch, right? So this is a branch, this is another branch, and this is another branch. Okay, so let's say that there are some commits on the main branch. Okay, so like there were commits over here. So there were some commits over here already when you saw the repo, and you want to make some changes to index.html. You want to make some changes to a specific file. So what you do is you create a different branch. A branch is basically a bifurcation. Okay, so it's not committing onto the main line of code. You're making a new branch and you're pushing all your changes onto this branch. Okay, then when you have made all the commits, maybe you've made 5 versions or 5 changes and you've committed each of those changes. Okay, this person has made 3 commits, and then you are ready to merge those changes into the main code. Okay, so that's how branches work. You work on a feature, you create a branch, you work on a feature, and then you merge that branch again into the main code. Then again, someone else, maybe your teammate, will work on a different feature, and then you will merge that into the main branch. The main branch is always kept as like the code will always work. Okay, it's always tested code. So and branch codes can be faulty, so that's why you create different branches so that the main code is never messed with. So, because like if I take this example, I made this commit, right? If this commit was if I had written some bad code, then the whole repository code would be bad. So anyone running this repository would face a lot of issues. So that's why we create branches, and only when we are satisfied that the code in that branch is good, we merge that branch into the master branch. It was a bit complicated. Did you guys understand what I meant by branches?
You can write in chat box, guys. Okay. Okay. So
if many people work on different works, then can't it be pushed to master branch? Yes, it can be pushed, and it's done using pull request. Okay, I'll show you how. So first of all, how will you know what to work on, right? You open this voting the app thing. Suppose you've opened my repository. How will you know what changes to you have to commit? So if you go to issues tab, okay, I think Shopnil also mentioned that there's issues like good first issues that you want to work on. So all repositories has an issues tab or a link to a different website which shows which issues you can work on. Issues is, as the name suggests, issues with the code that is already uploaded on GitHub. So I made these 2 issues. Okay, so you can also go through issues. If you're contributing for the first time to a repository, it's usually recommended that you use you search for good first issues. These are tags that are given to issues. So you can search for good first issues by selecting it from here. If you click label and then search for good first issues and select this, then it will filter out all the good first issues from all the open issues that are here. Okay, so let's open this issue, right? So when you open an issue, there will be a heading for this issue and a description for, oh my God, and there will be a description for this issue. Okay, so as you can see, I said I suck at front end, so I need some styling for the front end that I already have. Okay, so okay, so suppose I want to add some styling. I want to work on this issue. So what you do in open source is you leave a comment below the issue saying something like, I would like to work on this. Okay, and issues are usually more descriptive than this. Okay, this is not a very good issue description. A good description would be something like this, where it's mentioned what changes are required, right? So this is a good issue. So anyway, let's go back to the good first issue. So you would want to make a comment like this, that I would like to work on this issue, and don't wait for a reply. Just start working. You will get a reply from the owner or one of the mods of the repository. But in the meantime, just start working on it. Okay. So how will we start working on this? We will make a branch for this issue, right? So this is a feature that the owner of this repository wanted, and we would want to make a new branch. So let's make a new branch over here. To see, okay, firstly, to see which branch we are on, the command for that is git branch. It's very intuitive. So you can see that we have one branch, we're on the main branch, right? So that's the default branch. So I want to work on this issue. So I'm going to be making some changes. So I'm going to make a new branch. Okay. So to make a new branch, we say git branch, and then we specify the name of your branch. Okay. So let's say the name is, I'm going to call it UI because I'm going to be making some changes to the UI. Okay. So now if I do git branch again, I'll see that 2 branches has been created, main and then UI. But the star next to the branch and it's highlighted in green means that I'm still checked out on the main branch. I'm not on my UI branch. So I have to go to my UI branch, right? To go to my UI branch, I have to check it out. It's called git checkout UI. So now I'm on the UI branch. Okay. So if I see what code is already present, you can see that everything that was already there on my main branch has been copied to my UI branch. So right over here. So we are right here. Okay. So we have created a new branch. And at this point, all the code that was on master is also on this branch. So now from now on, any changes that we make will be made on this branch only. It will not affect the master branch until we merge this branch again into the master branch. Okay. So I'm not going to open index.html again. What I'm going to do is create a new file called UI. Okay. So let's say UI.html. So now you can see that UI.html has been created. Okay, so I want to add this file, and I'm going to commit it, and the commit message will be styling for styling, and then usually it's a good thing to also copy the issue number. Issue numbers are present here, right? So styling, and then you can say working styling, and then on issue number 1. Okay. So now this commit is made. Let's push this commit, changes of this commit. Does anyone know what the rest of this command will be? Git push origin, and then what I'll have to write? Any answers?
Guys, feel free to ask in the chat.
Okay. Yep, it is UI. David, you're in 30, you should know that. No, Jyoti, it's not main because see, we're on the UI branch, right? So we want to push these changes to the UI branch, not the main branch. That's the whole reason we created a new branch so that we do not mess with the main branch. Okay. So, okay. So let's push this into the UI branch. Great. So, Arnab, how much time do we have, by the way?
I think we need to, I guess, wrap up a little bit sooner because you know we have a lot to explain. There are a few things remaining, so we need to cover up that as well.
Okay, I'll just wrap up with the PR thing. Okay.
Yep.
Right. Cool. So now you guys can see that I have pushed my changes into the UI branch. So now you can see that there's 2 branches now. Okay, not 1 branch. So if you click branches, you can see there's a main branch and there's a UI branch. Okay, and when you push to this, it will give you an option like the UI on GitHub is amazing. It will already give you an option to compare and make a pull request. What is a pull request? A pull request is basically merging this branch into another branch. Okay, it doesn't have to be into the master branch. You can select any 2 branches. It can be that this person wants to merge this work into our branch. So it gives an option to select which branch you want to merge into which branch. Okay, so if we click this, it will see. Okay, so first it will tell you which branch you want to merge to which branch. So we made some changes on the UI branch and we want to merge it into the main branch. Okay, so this is the PR heading. Okay, so here you have to like just give a heading to what you're trying, why you want to make this PR, and leave a brief comment. So I'm just going to say styling. Okay, and create a pull request. Always remember to see which branch you're merging on. Okay, so don't mess this up. Okay. So we've created a pull request. Okay. Now, if we go into the pull request tabs. Okay, and we can see the pull requests that are already open in this. Okay, the owner of the repository can merge this. So after you've made a PR, your job is done for now. Okay, the owner will have the permission to merge it into the master branch, but a lot of times you will see that the owner has asked you for some changes or asked for clarification. Okay, so you can see this person had made some changes, some style changes, and I asked him what he was doing, and he hasn't replied yet. So if you get any comments from the owner, do remember to reply and explain what you have done. If you want some additional changes, then remember to add those changes also. And if your PR is good to go, then all you have to do is merge it. So I can see that Who Killed DB has made a PR where he created a readme.md file. Okay, and I think this is good to go. So we're going to merge this pull request. All right. Back to the code, you can see that readme.md has been created. Okay. And what is a, okay, I'll quickly just say what a readme file is. It's basically a markdown file which explains, like, see, you can see that this is a markdown file that David had created for me. So it explains stuff about the project, how to contribute to that project, and how to run it locally. Because this is a very simple project, you can just clone it, and if you know blockchain, you can run it easily. But the projects that you will be contributing to might be very complex, and it will have a dedicated README section over here explaining you how to run this app. Okay, so it will look, these will kind of look something like this. Wait one sec. If I show you this, right, this is another app. So over here, I've mentioned about the project. I've given some screenshots on how it works and stuff, and I've mentioned the technology. I haven't mentioned any contributing guidelines because to be honest, this project is finished, so I don't want anyone else contributing to it. But in most open source projects, you will have a dedicated contributing section. Please make sure to read that. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I've covered the basics of what I wanted to say. Does anyone have any questions?
Yep. Any questions, guys? Just ask in the chat, please. Anything, like whatever your Abhishek has covered. If you're like, stuck in something. I hope there was one guy who was asking me in chat, like he was stuck in some, in commit or something. So you can ask right now. Yep. Anyone. You can raise your hand and you can ask. See, I completely understand that at first these kind of all these commands and like this reading this repo and all this thing, it might seem what I can say like थोड़ा सा डर लग सकता है, ठीक है, लेकिन उसके बाद तो it will be you थोड़ा सा practice करोगे तो आ जाएगा, बैठ जाएगा, ठीक है. Okay, I can see Shaptarshi and Vivek has raised their hand, so yep, you can, I have given the permission to you to unmute.
हेलो भैया.
हाँ बोलो.
बोल
Hi,
रहा था
Saptarshi.
मैं ना क्या 2 प्रोजेक्ट रजिस्टर किया डाइवर्जन के लिए और एक सिलेक्ट हुआ है, तो उसके आगे क्या करना है?
Our management team will get in touch with you and will notify all the things that you need to do. Okay.
Okay.
And yes, Vivek.
Yes, भैया.
Okay, you were Vivek. Sorry. I think Saptarshi has one doubt, right? So yep, I've given you the permission to unmute. Saptarshi, any questions? I hope you're not audible. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask that how do you understand the syntax here? How do you write the commands? How will you know that when to write what commands?
So if you go like which part did you, okay, so have you understood the workflow of Git, like Git add and then committing it and then pushing it? Have you understood those? Hello, where am I connected?
There, yeah, you're audible. The one who asked the question, are you there?
So I think what we can do, okay, this is not going to be answered here. What we can do for you is I'll make a document of all the commands that I used today and why and when to use it and probably how also to use it, and we can share it somewhere. Ritesh, is that okay?
Yeah,
Is
we can
everyone
actually make a doc and we can put in the Git commands there, so people can actually see it
Yep.
from there, right?
Yep. And everyone, like, this video will be available on the YouTube, on our YouTube channel. So yep, you can go over there and this video will be uploaded in the description. We will put that cheat sheet. Am I right, Ritesh?
Yeah, we will.
Yep.
Even there is an official Git cheat sheet which you guys
Yeah.
can check out. I am putting in the link here. You can check that out as well. Okay, that's a PDF which you're gonna pay. Abhishek, can you just quickly open and show them what the Git cheat sheet does?
Yeah, 1 sec. So this is the Git cheat sheet. Oh, wow, this is really nice, Nitish.
Yeah, this is the official GitHub cheat sheet. So
yeah,
this is from education.github.com. You can always use this.
Yeah, so you can see I've mentioned these commands. It tells you what it's for. This is for branching.
Correct. I sent the Git cheat sheet link in the chat box as well, so everyone can have access to that. Okay.
Yep.
Just, if you can't find it, what you can do is you can just go to Google and write Git cheat sheet. This is the first thing that will appear. Can you go to Google, Abhishek, quickly?
Yeah. And you want me to write what?
Google, just go to Google and search Git cheat sheet. Not heat sheet.
Yeah, sorry.
Like GitHub is on heat.
GitHub is on heat.
Yeah, see the first one.
Type today. Yeah, so this one.
Yeah, this one.
Cool. And right. I saw that you also made a contribution, Ritesh. What's this link?
You can go to that as well.
What is this? Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Okay. Great.
Great. Okay. Anyway, so let me just tell you one thing about, there are a few announcements that I need to take. So first thing, many of you asked, like, how can I be a contributor for Diversion? So yep, we have as like lots of the first years, right? And not only first year, second year, they just asked me that they asked us that how can we contribute to Diversion. So just give me 1 second. Okay, so I will be just sharing my screen. So Abhishek, can you please stop sharing? Yep. So just give me a second.
Yeah. All right. Meanwhile, he's sharing. Anyone having any kind of questions? Anything that we can answer meanwhile? All right. So here is just a quick like walkthrough of how you can register to our platform.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So yep. So first of all, I will just give you an overview of the website, like everything we have. You can see the speakers and and our mentors. Like he was the one. You can see here Soham Biswas. He is the one working in Switzerland, Geneva, and he's one of the mentors of Diversion. And all these people, like these work. Some of them work in Uber, some of them work in Walmart, some of them work in Microsoft, Amazon. So people from good, you will have a good exposure. Okay. And apart from that, we have we are supported by Julia and NAS. Julia is a pretty emerging language right now, basically used in research and all, and I mean it's pretty amazing language. And we also we are forming a Julia user group Kolkata. Like it's actually, it was started by our seniors, but due to all this COVID and also it didn't go well. So we are again resuming it. Okay, so if you want to be a part of it, if you are genuinely interested in Julia, in using Julia in your daily life projects, then do ping me. There is Devjit, right? You can ping any of us, and like we will help you, right? And apart from that, there is nas.net. And yeah, one more thing, Julia takes part in GSOC. Okay, if you see in GSOC, like in 2021 they did participate, and also in 2022 they will participate as well. So this is a very great community, right? Let's say, like, just like I mentioned in the very beginning of the session, that community learning, right? So these are few of the communities. And also, today I had a talk with the GitHub star of the year, Eddie Howdy, today only, right? So he mentioned he has his own another big community named as Eddie Hub. Okay, so they are also supporting us in this in the Diversion. So if you want to be a part of that community, you can even like we will add this in our website by most probably by today or tomorrow, and you can be also part of that, because they are also having a very great network of amazing people, right? They will actually help you, like how to get started, or like if you're let's say you were starting with Julia. So if you if you check their website, then everything will be there in the website, and how can you contribute in Julia, and how can you be a part of that community as well, right? So we are having one of the community manager now, Logan Kilpatrick, right? Currently he works at Apple, but he also is a community manager of Julia. Now he has been promoted to developer advocate at Julia, right? And apart from that, now let me show you the projects. You can see there are some projects we have, let's say if I click on any one of this, so you can see the repo links are here. Okay, and after that, all the tech stacks that is they are using in this particular project. So you can, so basically you can go, you can check that out, and whichever you feel that you are, it's completely fitting your tech stack. Let's say for the first year, those who want to get a hands-on in web dev, so you can check some web dev projects. So we have a filter out here as well. So for web dev particularly, you can see these are the projects for web dev. For app dev, these are the projects for app dev. Okay, you can go do check that out. And yeah, one more thing, we have crossed the limit of we have crossed 50 projects. Okay, for Diversion. So there are around 50 projects that you can contribute to. So let's see. So now, right now I clicked on this register page, then I clicked on register for contributors. So there are some few guidelines. You just need to agree, and you will click on next, and you need to fill all the details. Then you need to click next, and here you have to select all the projects. So let's say the projects that was displayed over here, you can see over here, like you can even check the repository over here. You can check the tech stacks over here. So you can select the project. So let's say if I want to select this project, I selected this project. I will put my name. Okay, I'll put my name, and I will also put like my email. I will put all my everything is done, and I will put my socials. Like right now, I'm just putting. Okay, should I put? Let's say I just write for the intro. I'm just putting it. I'm just put some dummy values. Okay, now I put next. Then I will, let's say I selected this project, and the moment I clicked on submit, then I get a thank you one. I get a thank you message, and I will also receive a mail that I have been successfully registered. So it will show in my mail. So let's say if you're giving your email ID, then it will show it in your email ID. So make sure to do check this out. But apart from that, I will also give an intro, like I have shared a link in the chat box about our YouTube channel. Okay, so you guys can even check that YouTube channel out. Like just it's we have launched it yesterday only, right? We have launched in yesterday only, so you can check that. I think I have uploaded the link above. So just give me a sec. Give me a second. Yep. So this is our channel. So yeah, one thing I will be very clear. Okay, so I will be putting this in the chat box again. So just give me a second. Yep, you can go and check this out, and you can like and subscribe. Like this is our so yep. So this is our video. This is the only, we have uploaded only one video. But anyway, let me tell you that this channel, particularly, not only this, there are other channels as well, like GDSC. We have Google Developer Student Club. We have CodeChef, right? And we have ACM. And very soon we will be having Microsoft Student Community as well. So if you want to be a part of that community, so we will have a recruitment season. Recruitment time will be
Arnab,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but there is a question which I think we should answer. Is
yep, absolutely.
Yeah, there is a question which says actually our first sem is from 1st Feb to 16th Feb. So will diversion occur after 16th Feb or before? Can you explain them the timeline, please?
Yep, absolutely. See, the thing is, one thing I can tell you. See, I will be very clear that that our event is starting from 1st Feb. And it will go till 3rd of April. So you are getting pretty much 2 months of development time for individual projects. And if you are being a part of that project as a contributor, so you can be a part. Now, most of them have doubt. Yep, I will go through one by one. Okay, first I will tell about that one thing that you guys also know, that the SEMs are online. Okay.
Arnab, are you here?
Yeah.
Let's not go there and let's not explain them the entire event like this. Let's take their question and answer it one by one.
Yeah, that is cool. Okay, you take over if you want. Like, yep.
No, it's fine. Like what I want to do is right now, let's actually wrap up the entire entire formal event, and I will be then stopping the recording, and after that we can actually go and have a talk with all of the people that have any kind of doubts, and then we can have an open talk session like we used to.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, guys. This marks the end of the formal session that we had today, the entire beginner session. I hope you guys understood what how you can actually contribute to open source, how you can add something new, how you can collaborate and all that stuff. So we are wrapping up the official session. Though after I stop the recording, we will still be in this meet, and we will be answering any kind of questions that you guys have. Anything related to any path that you want to take, related to any kind of questions you have in Diversion, anything that you want, we will be still there in this meet, and you guys can talk to us. I'll open the forum to everyone so that anyone can unmute and talk to us. Just make sure that it does not get so much spammy, and everybody just does not speak at the same moment. So thank you everyone for attending the session today, and thanks everyone. See you in the next one.
Yeah. So currently the